now to introduce and bring on stage Suzanne Edwards, who's joining us from Airbnb, who's going to be talking about accessibility on Airbnb. So welcome to the stage, Suzanne.
Amazing. Thank you so much, everyone. Oh, it's a bright light. I'm used to Zoom things, but hi, everyone. My name is Suzanne. I work at Airbnb, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about some of the work that we do and how we are really trying to raise the bar for accessible travel. Oh, I've heard that this clicker is not great, so bear with. Oh, it's going to be fun. Hang on. There we go. Great. So this is me. My name is Suzanne. I have worked at Airbnb for about 6.5 years now. And as this is an in-person event, you can probably see I'm a wheelchair user. So I sustained a spinal cord injury about 13 years ago when I was in Morocco. I was working as a surf instructor. I was standing on a balcony and it collapsed and I fell about 30 feet and broke my back. I was really into the beach, surfing, traveling, and suddenly the whole world as I knew changed for me and it was suddenly closed off for me, and I realized that I was living in a world that I didn't really belong in anymore, which was pretty tough, pretty hard to come to terms with. But you know, we plow on. I have great friends and family around me that sort of help support me. And then about 5 years after my accident, I came across a guy who just set up an accessible travel startup called Accommable, and he asked whether I wanted to come and help out. And as travel was something I was really passionate about before my accident, I thought, why not? Let's give it a go. And so I joined Accommable, and then about 2.5 years after I joined, Airbnb acquired Accommable. That was in November 2017. And so I interviewed to see if I'd be a good fit for Airbnb and whether I thought they'd be a good fit for me. And I joined the company working on accessibility, and it was the first time Airbnb had sort of had a dedicated accessibility team. So really exciting. Took us a while to sort of find our feet and work out you know, where we could fit in and the work that we could do within Airbnb. It's obviously a pretty big company, a lot of competing priorities, but it's been a pretty wild ride. I absolutely love it. And my job title at the moment is Accessibility Standards Lead. And as that, I basically get to sort of think about the vision and the strategy for accessibility for the company, and then I work with all different teams to try and make it happen and bring it to life, which I guess sounds kind of straightforward. It's pretty difficult. We have a ton of other things that the company are trying to do, so accessibility has to fit in with everything else on our roadmap. But I get to work with incredibly talented people. I get to learn so much, and it's such a huge opportunity to really make an impact because we're such a big company in the travel space. So I love it. So I'm going to start by talking a little bit about our approach to accessibility, like how do we think about it within the company, where does it fit in amongst other things. But my clicker might not work, so. Oh no. Okay, so accessibility and disability inclusion are really a priority for us. It's something that we really proactively think about. We like to think about it ahead of time when we build products and services rather than try and sort of retrofit it on at the end. It's taken us a while to get to that stage, but it's really great that I get involved in sort of the concept stage before we build something so that we can really think about the needs of people with disabilities and other accessibility needs. Our goal is really to make travel more accessible for everyone. People have got such a huge range of needs, and we really want to make sure that everyone can use Airbnb in the same way. Everyone can have great stays when they travel on Airbnb. And we really don't do this work alone. We have a lot of subject matter experts within the company, but we also work a lot within the community and with experts and organizations within the disability travel space and just within the disability community. We're also members of the Valuable 500, which is a collection of 500 companies, organizations around the world who have committed to prioritizing disability inclusion sort of on their company roadmaps and within the work that they do. So we joined that in 2019, and then we are also partners of the Olympics and Paralympic Games. We signed that partnership in 2018, and it's a 9-year partnership, so it takes us through to the LA 2028 Games. Obviously, we have the Paris Games this summer, so a really exciting year for us. And yeah, I love that partnership. I get to work on it a lot, which is great. So when it comes to thinking about travel, our approach is really to sort of think that actually, what does accessible really mean? There is no one definition of what is accessible for one person is accessible for someone else. Everyone has got very, very individual needs. And so we really focus on making sure that we're not sort of pigeonholing people into creating an accessible travel experience. So me as a wheelchair user, I have very different needs from someone else that's a wheelchair user. We'll probably have some things in common, like we both want step-free access, but actually one of my closest friends, she's a wheelchair user, she prefers a bath, I prefer a shower. So, you know, what's accessible for me isn't necessarily accessible for her. So we really take that approach and think that it's more about specific individual features that fit an individual's needs rather than sort of lumping everyone into the same bracket and saying something is either accessible or not accessible. So we've introduced a number of things over the last few years that really sort of follow that ethos, and we really are sort of just, our whole aim is just to provide accurate information for people up front so that they can really find something that meets their specific needs, they can feel confident to book, and then they can get excited about traveling because travel's meant to be fun. So here are some of the things that we've done. In 2018, this is about 6 months after I joined Airbnb, we originally had just one wheelchair accessible tick box that hosts could say, my home is wheelchair accessible or not, and then guests could select that when they were using Airbnb that they needed a wheelchair accessible home. We realized, as I just said, that that kind of doesn't mean something, doesn't sort of mean anything. So we split it out into individual features that a host can say they have in their home. And currently we have got 13 accessibility filters that people can narrow down their search results by. So things like a step-free guest entrance, a grab bar in the shower, a seat in the shower, a doorway wider than 32 inches. We've got 13 of these filters, and so guests can narrow down their search results and find stuff that is very relevant to what they need. Then in 2021, this was a few years in the making, we introduced something called Accessibility Review. So this was kind of an add-on to the accessibility filters that we had. So we realized that hosts quite like to tick a lot of boxes when they create their listing. So they saw all these accessibility filters they could have, and they basically sort of ticked every box. And we weren't entirely convinced that they actually have those features when someone shows up. Not a great guest experience. So we introduced this mandatory step for them that if they select that they have an accessibility feature in their home, they have to upload a photo of it. So if they have a step-free guest entrance, we need to see a photo of it. If they have a grab bar in the shower, we need to see a photo of it. And then we introduced this review system as well, where we actually review every single one of these photos that a host adds against a strict set of photo requirements to make sure that it really is what it says it is. So for instance, if a host says they have a step-free guest entrance, we ask that the doorway is open in the photo and the camera slightly tilted down so that we can see both sides of the doorway and we can clearly see there are no steps. And then these photos are available for guests to see. So they narrow down their search results, they click into a listing, and then they find this accessibility features section. It has the features, and then it has these corresponding photos. And so far, we have reviewed and confirmed, I think it's over 300,000 accessibility features in homes all around the world. So it's a massive project, but it's so vital. It's been received incredibly well because accuracy is so important. And then the following year, in November, oh no, back, hang on. There it is. We introduced the adapter category, which was probably, I loved working on this. This is probably the most fun thing, and I think the most exciting thing that we launched. So Airbnb introduced a range of different categories, which is sort of collections of homes around the world, like tree houses, castles, beachside, lakeside, and then we introduced in November 2022 the adapter category. And this is a collection of homes that have been adapted for mobility needs. And we have about 1,100 homes at the moment all around the world. And one of the coolest things is they're very unique homes. We have got tree houses, we've got domes, we've got a castle in there, we've got A-frames, we've got cabins. So it's really unique homes. And all of them, again, we really wanted to focus on accuracy. And so we introduced this extra step of having 3D scans of all of these homes. So we worked with a company called Matterport who do 3D scans. Hang on. There it is. And with this, their technology is pretty amazing, and they analyze the scans, and they can analyze everything to a real high degree of accuracy so that we can get great information about doorway widths and step heights. And so in the bottom right photo, you can see we add in the doorway measurements into photos, and then we also create a floor plan from these 3D scans as well, so that guests can see the entire layout of the listing, and they can see where's the bedroom versus the bathroom. You can sort of see the widths and the sizes of rooms as well. So a really, really exciting thing. Again, it's been received very well. We've had over 5 million searches in the adapted category since we launched it, which is just over a year ago, and we're continuing to expand it and continuing to think about ways that we can really grow these kind of collections. So what's next for us? So this year, and thinking ahead, we're really starting to think sort of longer term, and really how can we continue to raise the bar? How can we sort of innovate when it comes to accessible travel? I really feel like we're only just scratching the surface, and I also love a challenge, so I'm really trying to push us to go even further, which is very exciting. Growing our supply is always going to be number one for us. Without homes with accessibility features, we don't really have a product for people. So we're focused in key markets and on specific initiatives. As I mentioned, it's the Paris Olympics and Paralympics this year. So we're doing a lot of targeted supply work in Paris at the moment to make sure we can help house all the spectators and people with disabilities that might be in Paris. Secondly, we work a lot with our hosts. Hosts have to add accessibility features, they have to add photos, so we have a lot of resources and guidance for them, and we're always looking at how we can develop and improve it, both about how they can maybe modify their home, how to use our product, and how to welcome people with different disabilities as well. Next, research, incredibly important. We undertook a big research project last year, and we're continuing that work this year, just to understand some of the barriers to travel for people with disabilities, again, how we can improve our product, and just how we can overall make travel a bit more fun. We focused a lot on mobility needs. What I showed you was mainly around mobility needs, but our research has been focusing a lot on other disabilities and accessibility needs as well. And then lastly, that leads into the digital accessibility side of things. So we have a dedicated team for our digital accessibility of our app and our website. So for people who use screen readers or keyboard technology to navigate the site, we have an entire team that are dedicated to making sure that they can have a seamless experience and use Airbnb in the same way as everyone else. So that's just a little bit about what we're doing. There's a bit more information at airbnb.com/accessibility. That's my email address if anyone wants to reach out, have a chat, ask any questions, and that's all my slides.